2, 1.
All right. All right. Yeah. So, kind of the first thing here is this game's called Ratchet Clank, but you're not two people. Right now, you're just one person, you're Ratchet. This is Veldin that he's on, Ratchet's home planet, and as you can see, he's doing a lot of side flips. Basically, he's just getting a little bit of extra, distance to each side flip. It's just a little bit faster than kind of normal walking. And you'll see them a lot in the early game, and then a little bit again later, but kind of they'll make a disappearance for a little bit, I think. And right now he's just kind of making his way through the planet to go get Clank. The main object of the game is kind of like any amazing PS2 adventure, just save the world.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
So that's already the first planet finished. So we get Clank.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
Great, Veldin. Gold Boost. I couldn't have even done that. So there's two main things. So the category we're running today, or rather Zem's running today, is all gold bolts, which are the main kind of major collectible within this game. There are 40 gold bolts.
One quick thing, here's river skip.
It might look mundane.
All right. Yeah.
He's at the end of the planet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so kind of an important thing to note about pretty much all the Ratchet & Clank games is they usually design their planets so that you end up near your ship when you finish the planet.
Yeah.
What that means is for a speedrun, your exits are right near your entrances, which means a lot of planets you can just actually glitch your way or use a very simple river skip and jump straight to the ending.
So a couple things to note about this particular planet. This and the next planet both have global cycles, which means that I have to make these cycles up here. Oh, this is going to be a tricky one. I don't think I'm going to make it. And that's fine. I went for it. I knew I wasn't going to make it, but you got to do it anyway.
Now
right?
you get a fun water slide.
So the thing about these cycles is that they start from the very beginning of the planet. So if you don't move quickly enough throughout the planet, you're not going to make the cycle. And as soon as I had a little bit of slow movement at the river skip, right after there, and I was like, I'm not going to make it. So another big thing about this is that bolts are really important for the first few sections of the game, and here's the first gold bolt.
Yeah.
There we go. All right.
All right.
So this is what he's going to be getting 40 of throughout the entire run.
Yeah. And so what I was going to say, bolt RNG is a really important thing in this game. So the way that you collect bolts is that every crate I break has a min value and a max value, and you tend to get anywhere in between. All right, that's fine. I messed that up. That's cool. Any crate will have any number between the min and the max. And so a big part of this is that I need to have 1,000 bolts by the time I hit a section into the next planet. So I'm going to spend 500 here. So as you can see, I have 900 right now. I'm going to have about 1,100 by the time I hit the next room. So when I spend the 500, I'll have 600, and I should be good for the next part. But what's important is that I'm only going to be killing one enemy at the beginning of the next planet, and so if he gives me a bad bolt roll, then I need to pick up some backup bolts, which ends up messing up some of these global cycles. So RNG matters a little bit. It matters a lot less in the late game because there's so many crates available that you can just break whatever you want.
Yeah, it ends up being a ton of bolts that he has to collect throughout the run. After that, he just the 500 he just spent there. Everything else is going to cost anywhere between 1,000 and 7,500, and there's 10 or so purchases throughout the game. So lots of routing involved there.
How many times has bolts ruined a run for you?
I want to say maybe one of every 5 or 6 runs gets killed because of this particular spot up here. It's pretty rare, but all it takes is one bad bolt roll. And that's it.
Yeah, and these bolts are used for both purchasing weapons and sometimes upgrades to Clank. But they're also used sometimes to purchase coordinates to the next planet. Sometimes you need to bribe somebody or just straight up pay them.
Mm-hmm. So this is the enemy coming up here. He's a big helicopter, and he drops so many bolts. So let's see if I can get over 1,000 with him.
Remember, wrenches kill helicopters.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we're at 1,100. That's really good. That means I got decent RNG. And so I'm going to be spending 1,000 right here to get the helipack, and the helipack is our bread and butter for this game because it gives us all of our movement options. So if you guys want to explain what I'm doing while I'm doing it.
Yeah, so he's going to be picking up the helipack from Al here, and then he's immediately going to be able to start long jumping and high jumping, as well as he can still do some of the same movement tech like doing side flips and canceling them with a hyper strike. But you'll see him do a lot of these long jumps, and there are ways in this game to kind of chain them together called neutral long jumps by releasing the analog stick as you initiate your long jump, and then just leaving it released and just doing long jumps over and over.
So you can see right here, I can just take my hand off, and I'll start gaining speed the more I chain them together. Do some side flips here, get up the staircase, and now we're going to go over to this section right here to grab a couple bolts as well as this gold bolt right up here. And the way that this game functions at the higher levels is that you need to go out of your way as little as possible to grab the bolts that you need. So a lot of the routing that we've done in this category has been to see what we need to break, what gives us the most bolts for the time that it takes to break them. And so I grabbed like around 100 right there, and now I can continue on. It's going to be a lot of little bolt breaking throughout the early game.
Yeah, and as you can tell, Ratchet can wall jump, but you need to do that hyper strike at the end there just to get high enough for the surface to not count as curved. Lets him just avoid kind of walking around.
First big skip coming up here is going to be train skip. What I'm going to do is I'm going to long jump over here. I'm going to, there's supposed to be a cutscene that activates when you land here, but I'm going to short hop to avoid activating the cutscene. I'm going to land, activate it, that guy shoots a missile, and when it hits me, I'm able to move during this cutscene.
Normally you have to stay completely stationary during this, but as you can see, he's just moving along.
So the goal here is to not die, okay, and then get over here, and we're good, okay.
Very nice. Yeah. We'll see a lot more of it because, surprise, surprise, there's going to be some out of bounds, I'll just say, throughout this game. Zem has to be used to just very awkward camera angles a lot of times throughout this run, just kind of knowing where he's got to move without it being in a very convenient position.
And what he got there was an infobot. Anytime you see those little robots that are kind of flying around with him, infobots generally just give you your coordinates to the next planet. And look how fast he's going with these neutrals. Very precise timing there.
So that trick that I'm doing right there, where you kind of see Ratchet vibrate for a half second and then shoot in a different direction, those are called mid-air long jumps.
By the way, he's out of bounds.
Oh yeah, no, I'm out of bounds here. So we're going to grab these crates over here. And the way that I'm breaking these, when I grab this gold bolt, they're all going to snap to me. And so yeah, like I was saying, mid-air long jumps, they're a really useful tool because we can use them. For some reason, the way this game operates, with R1 and R2 both being crouch buttons, that means you could use either one to do long jumps. And so because of that, I can hit, hold on, this angle's not good.
Right here, he needs to chain together some neutral long jumps to make a really long gap.
Yeah, and so right there, mid-air long jump, I'm canceling a side flip into a long jump is essentially what that is. So it's a really useful movement tool.
Yeah, and they're similar to neutral long jumps, not exactly the same.
He's also trying to make a universal cycle here. Let's see if he's able to get it or not.
I'm not going to make it. Yeah, that's okay.
Ah, close. Very close.
I screwed up right at the end there with that poor mid-air long jump. That bonked. But that's okay. Yeah, this is what I was saying before about how you have to move quickly to get global cycles. So the movement that you have throughout this entire planet dictates what cycle you're going to get. So this should be, I think, normal cycle. If I'd gone a little bit faster, I could have made the fastest cycle, but you know, no big deal.
Coming up next, you're going to see something that you'll be seeing a lot throughout this run, which is death abusing after picking up an item or some coordinates. Now, there are checkpoints all over the game that will, you know, let it so that make it so that when you die, you'll end up at that checkpoint. But he will specifically avoid checkpoints a lot of the times. There's no indication in the game about where these checkpoints are. They've just done so much research as a community into knowing where all of them are, so they can avoid them in order to respawn at a more favorable location.
So you guys know bolt-wise what I'm supposed to be looking at here. I should have around 600 bolts right now, so since I have 743, that's pretty good. That's being a little over-bolt is not a bad thing. In fact, especially for a marathon run, I'm going to want to be over-bolted because in case I get low rolls later on in the game, I want some backup bolts.
He's going to be collecting these bolts all throughout the run. There's never a point where he can just stop worrying about them.
So can you guys explain mid-air long jumps, or not mid-air long jumps, infinite long jumps, since they're about to come up?
Yeah, so infinite long jumps are this crazy cool technique that can only be done over certain surfaces, like mud that you see kind of all over the place here. First, he's going to grab a gold bolt here, but infinite long jumps involve him canceling long jumps with side flips and flipping back and forth and just doing these constant long jumps. And it's going to look really funny, and Ratchet's going to go flying.
Yeah.
So we'll be seeing the first one here in a moment. Exactly. Now, you can do that as long as you're over certain surfaces in the game, and you can see the kind of speed that he gets immediately.
Yeah.
And you could just chain it right into whatever you want.
So we're going to be using it all over this planet because, like Hobbs was saying, over certain surfaces specifically. So this mud right here, you can do infinite long jumps all over the place.
Everywhere.
So we're going to be going up here, grabbing this gold bolt.
These have been awesome so far. I just want to say, yeah. Very clean as well.
And momentum in every Ratchet & Clank game is very fluid. So he can chain the infinite long jumps into the neutral long jumps, into the mid-air long jumps. Like, you can do everything. It's insane. And they're
tricky.
Trying to get a bunch of height.
All right, cool. We're not dead.
Okay. Didn't die. Doing good.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Since I haven't technically hit any checkpoints, if I were to die, then I'll probably spawn back at the ship, if I had to guess. I might have hit one entering this swing shot course, but I really doubt it. That being said, I'm going to go for a YOLO swag strat anyway, because why wouldn't I? So I'm going to break these boxes right here. Going to get over here, and then we're going to do this. All right, there we go.
Oh,
yes.
When he's doing infinite long jumps, those are about, what was it, Spike? Like 13 inputs
13 inputs per second. And it's less about like just pure mashing as it is a rhythm that he has to find.
Yeah, if I have to hit this, like R1 and R2, I have to do that flutter really consistently. If I drop even a single input, the whole thing gets eaten and I'll just die.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. It's probably one of the harder tricks for new runners to pick up.
This angle's really bad. Yeah, it's one of those things where you're going to see that on a ton of different planets just because of, like I said, certain surfaces. Who's that?
That was my mom calling, probably.
Off the couch.
Can we get a quick shout out for moms?
Yeah. I'd love to call you.
So that was the entirety of Iridia. Now we're heading to Eudora, where we're going to see the first instance of slope intercept. So if you guys want to explain slope intercept real quick while I'm setting all this up.
Yeah, so slope intercept is an algebra term. Like usually if you have a graph.
I thought Tones didn't notice.
I was really surprised.
I trained on one thing.
I was going to believe it, man. You should have kept going. Slope intercept is actually, in this game, like whenever you jump onto a slope, you normally slide down. However, if you hover into the slope like that and continue to hold crouch, you'll get basically a quarter of a second where Ratchet crouches on the slope. Only in very specific spots on very specific slopes. You can do it in a bunch of different ways on some, but in others it might be, down to just a few pixels wide. So he has to make sure he gets these high jumps during that quarter second that Ratchet crouches on those slopes again.
So obviously I've been going out of bounds already quite a bit. This is the first really major out of bounds. Oops, sorry about that. Where I'm going to have to really sequence break in order to get out of bounds. So what I'm going to do here, this is a section that you're normally only supposed to be able to do as Clank until you get the O2 mask later in the game, which allows you to go outside in space as Ratchet. But because I'm about to go out of bounds, I'm going to trick the game into basically not checking to see if I have the O2 mask. So first I'm going to glide up this rail that you normally go down with the grind boots. And the grind boots are normally a very important part of the game because you have to use them to traverse rails like this. We're just going to skip them entirely. And that ends up saving us a lot of time in the long run because as you can see, if I hit L3, I have 1,600 bolts right now. I need 2,000 for just the grind boots and not including the 4,000 I'm going to need on the next planet. So it would take a long, long time to grind all those bolts. So that's where the majority of this time save comes from. It's going to require me to do a very long, intricate skip on one of the later planets in the run. So here, I'm out of bounds, I grab the bolt, and because I skipped the checkpoint, I can death abuse and just go right back to the beginning.
Yep, you almost always want to end up back at your ship or back near your ship.
I love the noise that he makes when he's just falling to his death.
That's messed up, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, man.
But yeah, like Tim said, he kind of went out of bounds in a more difficult way there. But in this game, in a lot of the Ratchet & Clank games for the PS2 era, it's pretty easy to get out of bounds. Real quick, this is a little hacking mini game that he just memorizes the inputs
Yeah,
for.
it's the same thing every single time, so.
Just lets you get into doors and stuff usually. But yeah, it's pretty easy to get out of bounds throughout most of the Ratchet & Clank games because they were pretty, technically advanced for the PS2 era. And so as soon as the developers thought there's no way they're going to jump at this wall, they just deloaded it. They just got rid of its collision. So you'll see a lot of times where it'll look like he'll just long jump through a wall. It's usually just that simple.
Right. You can do it at home, kids.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I didn't saw.
That was close.
I didn't crash the game. You can crash the game there if you break those too close together, because the game's trying to load 2 cutscenes at once. So we're done with there. I need 4,000 bolts, like I said, by the end of this planet. We have 3,750, which is well over what we need. But I'm going to continue collecting the bolts anyway.
That guy's a jerk.
That's okay. There's a huge meme in my channel that I can never get past this planet without only having 1 health. So if I can last with 2 health, I'll be more than happy with that. All right, so we're already well over 4,000, and I'm going to collect a couple hundred more anyway. So that's all the gold bolts on this planet. And like Hobbs was saying, there's some kind of wacky out-of-bounds stuff that's just purely based off of some walls not being there. So I'm going to break this. I'm going to kill this guy so he doesn't get in my way. And then I'm just going to jump through this wall.
See? Yep. You can do it at home.
So now we're out of bounds, and we're going to use this to skip to a different section of the game entirely where the coordinates for the next planet are. So I'm going to jump over here, glide down, and grab this info bot right here. And so because I'm stuck here, I have to load to get back to the ship.
There end up being, I think we decided, 18 planets all the way throughout the run, 18 different levels. You can expect to see anywhere between 1 and 3 gold bolts per level. And in order to unlock each of them, it's normally like you either go into a cutscene or you find those infobots which unlock other levels. Just kind of give you the basic idea of our objective throughout the game.
So this is the first huge run ender of the game. This tends to be a wall for anybody trying to break into the top levels of this game. These are called Cinna flips. They were found by a runner named Cinna. And they're similar to infinite long jumps, but they use the analog stick instead of the D-pad. And I have to be very, very precise with this. So if you guys want to take over from here.
Yeah, so like you said, they're very similar to, not simpler, but similar to infinite long jumps. He has to wait for this dinghy to lower, so that way he's completely over water. He's going to have to wait for it again. Otherwise, he'll be over that pontoon. And now he's really just trying to get height instead of as much speed and distance like you do with infinite long jumps. And these are just way more difficult. But he got it first try.
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, see, most runners ask for quiet time during stuff like that.
Sure.
He's just like, you know what, J-Hobbs, just talk. Just keep talking.
I just love to watch his face when he does those.
They might not have seen it because I tried really hard to keep my face still right there.
See, we made him self-conscious.
I know.
About it
I should have
before we
never
got
told
here.
him.
So yeah, what they're referring to normally when I do that, my face just goes like all over the place. Yeah, so here you're supposed to do this maze to get to this gold bolt, but because we're just going to go over top right here, we can just fly down and grab the bolt. And so here we're going to death abuse again by, see those like weird hazmat suit guys over there. We're going to get them to hit us, and we activated a checkpoint. The checkpoints in this game are so strange. We actually didn't get anywhere near where the checkpoint was, but because we were around the checkpoint, the game's just like, you were close enough. So I'm going to spawn back here. I need to get out of bounds again, so I'm going to climb on these crates, and I need a slope intercept once again off this tree.
Yeah.
This one's
This is pretty
painfully
precise.
So let's see here.
Like you said, what you want to look for is that crouch. Gets the high jump.
I'll take
Very
second
nice.
try. That's not bad. And then here you're supposed to normally be able to access this with the hoverboard, but we skipped the hoverboard entirely. But the track is still here even without the hoverboard.
With collision.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
That floor is not, but.
Again, just for everything they were able to do with this game graphically and you know, everything they got in here, they just kind of cut some corners, you could say.
And though we are playing this on the PS3, which is for a PS3, a PAL PS3 exclusive glitch later in the run, at the very end of it. We'll explain that when we get to it. The games did come out on PS2, and that's kind of where a lot of this carries over, because most of the tricks work between the HD and standard F versions.
Yeah. And a big thing to note about the differences between consoles is that the loads for PS3 are just significantly faster. In the NG Plus category, New Game Plus, which is only a 22-minute category, loads end up saving 5 minutes between PS3 and PS2.
Oh,
yeah.
What?
And it's like the opposite for by the third game, so it's kind of weird. All right, some more infinite long jumps because, again, you can see the mud. Go ahead.
Yeah. And coming up here, you're actually going to see a pretty cool trick called Ghost Ratchet.
Love this.
So basically, he's going to trick the game into thinking he's dying. He's going to go around this slope real quick. Or get up here, rather.
Yeah, and I need to
Get
collect some
some gold
bolts here.
bolts.
Yeah, I need to have, the next one is 2,000 by the end of the next planet. So I'm just going to be collecting some bolts here and there.
So you see he's going to grab this, he's going to drop into the mud, and then save himself at the last second. The game thinks he's dead right now, which does this.
It allows me to just walk through walls.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
That's the one like out of bounds kind of thing where, all right, that one's not quite as easy.
Right.
You can't just long jump through the wall. But if you make the game think you're dead, you can.
It is important to know a little subtle detail. He's actually kind of jumping over, like jumping into each of these like clips, because the floor still has a little bit of collision with Ratchet, so you wouldn't be able just to walk into each of these, so he does have to jump over each of them. It's kind of a little quirk about it. For whatever reason, you have a 10,000 frame counter that is just going down. Which is, in other words, 2.5 minutes.
And now this
he's
whole
going to plow around the stage.
This whole planet is based around this fortress that he's just going to be making his way into now. There's the boss. There's a lava boost. We're done with the plan.
that went well. I even landed on the infobot, which is really cool. So Battalia, this planet, I was saying earlier on the space station planet that I skip getting the grind boots because it saves 2,000 bolts. Well, this entire ladder section of this planet normally has this huge grind boot section, so we have to have a really creative skip in order to get around it. So that's going to be at the end of the planet. For now, I just want to collect the bolts, collect the gold bolts, collect some extra bolts along the way, and just get the coordinates for a couple of the other planets. So we're going to get over here into this trespasser puzzle. Same exact idea. I already have the pattern memorized. It's the same thing every single time. And here's like a fun little thing. I have to take my time breaking these crates because if I break them too fast, the bolts just disappear for some reason. So
too many objects on screen.
Yeah, I would imagine that's the case. I have 27, like almost 2,800 bolts right now. Average is somewhere between 24 and 2,600. So bolt-wise, we're looking really, really good. So we're just going to go around this. This is one of the trickier planets just because, actually, it's really not that tricky as far as like actual hard strats. But in order to do everything properly, you need to have really good distance on all of your long jumps, your neutral long jumps, your mid-air long jumps. So it's mostly just a precision check to see if you're playing well.
And that's one of the cool things about all of the original, Rack trilogy is that there are so many movement options that you get to like optimize every minute detail. And do I need to go 2 feet? Do I need to go 12 feet? Like I'm going to be using different tricks for each one.
There, I could have done. I could have skipped this falling down the river section, but because of the way that ledges work in this game, if you carry a bunch of momentum at a ledge, the ledge will just eat all of it, and you'll just be stuck in place. So that's exactly what happened there. It ate all my momentum.
That sounded like an excuse to me.
I'm just really bad at this game, man.
Because he skipped that one. See, skip sliding down that river.
So I need 3,100 by the time I hit this this skip. So I'm gonna break some more bolts just to be safe here. I'm going to break these ones. And so this is grind boot skip coming up here. It's going to take a lot of very precise slope intercepts in a row.
Yeah. As you said, just a lot of slope intercept. You'll see every time that little crouch. It's like a quarter-second time to get that next high jump off. And you really just need to know where the spots are on a lot of these invisible walls that it's going to suddenly start doing that that crouch.
So we're scaling. We're scaling up this mountain. And this isn't the hard part. It's precise, but it's not nearly as difficult as this section right here. So this is the actual grind boot section. Let's see if this guy gives me, all right, no homie bump from that guy. I wanted a little bit more height from him, but that's okay. So I'm gonna break this mine over here using some bombs. Okay, one of them hit. And now we're going to do the same exact thing we did on Blarg and glide up this rail. If I fall off, there's no salvaging this. I'm just dead. So I need to be very careful here.
And again, grind boots, not only are they high bolt costs in a run that's very limited on bolts, they're also just pretty slow when you're grinding. So he really just kind of wants to avoid them altogether.
All right, so a fun little trick right here, ground infinite long jumps. I'm going to infinite long jump up this slope. All right, yeah, there we go.
Wanted to give him some serious time there, so
Yeah.
we're going to talk about it too much. But effectively, when you're going up those slopes where you're supposed to have the grind boots, he wants to make sure he's not in the middle of it. Otherwise, Ratchet will just slide back down it. And he also wants to make sure he's not too far off of it, so he needs to kind of stay on that edge.
Sorry to cut you off. We need to explain the tree.
The tree.
Oh, yeah. So the tree. So this is the only level in the game where we're playing as exclusively Clank. I called him Crank in the back room. But so normally here they want you to go into that cave. It's like a 6-minute level that you have to do. You have like no options here with him. Instead, we're going to line ourselves up with this tree. He's got very specific visual cues that he has to go off of here to try to skip out of it.
I
Couldn't even explain it. I thought we were going to be here for 20 minutes.
All right, and now the swag trick that's a lot easier than it looks. I know. Oh man, I know he was worried about that one.
That was the first thing he practiced when he came downstairs, and he was missing it quite a bit. Not to
no. For real though, that's a trick. If you guys saw the SGDQ run last year that Raikaru did, we didn't have a consistent setup for that. Raikaru has to just jump at that tree for about a minute and a half, and then he just clips through randomly. And over the course of several months, a bunch of runners have been refining setups, and that setup was found that I used by one tabloid.
Yes.
It's just so insanely precise, and it looks so easy because I got it first try.
Yeah.
But that can really wall people. I've seen people lose as much as 10 minutes to that on a run.
I've seen him lose like 2.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we could have easily just sat there for so long.
Yeah, he has to get much more creative just with what his visual cues are on the wall, because that tree, which you think he'd be utilizing, it's swaying back and forth the entire time. So he has to use like stuff on the back wall and just looking at Clank himself.
We're going to move on to some more slope intercept here. Just climb our way. And again, most of the objective for a lot of these planets is I'm going to go get one item, or I'm going to go get some coordinates, and then that'll allow me to use that item or use those coordinates on the next planet.
This is probably the best time to do a donation reading, just because we're going to have a couple minutes where it's the same stuff we've been doing. Just obviously there's going to be some cool out-of-bounds stuff that I'm going to be doing, but you can pretty much grasp what I'm doing just by looking at it. So let's get some donations in.
Alrighty, we have an anonymous $50 donation that says, "Hey Zem, Tab and GF here. Hope you have a great run. Good luck with Orcs on 1 and the incredibly optimal Guild Battalia strat. Shoutouts to Nano Hollow guys." And we have the Writing Scribe with $50 saying, "Hey Zem, Scribe here and thought this was the most deserving time to give my donation. Been watching for a few years and thought it was time to send in a donation of my own. Good luck on the run. Hype for the business chickens on Kalibo 3, but seriously, kill the animals."
Fair enough.
I just love any time you do any of these momentum preservations into a lava boost.
Right.
It's like, it's when you can really see how fast he's been going out of bounds. It doesn't really, you can't really tell always.
Sure.
And also, wait, hold on. I just want to say, guys, thanks for the good luck. I appreciate that. No, the first person who donated Tab was the person I shouted out who found that setup. So, and yeah, you can. Just one quick thing about this, and then we can get back in a couple donation readings. There's a big invisible wall here that I have to get over, so I'm gonna slope intercept right here and get over top of it. All right, cool. Now we can get the gold bolt. All right, yeah. So that's all I had to say about this planet. The next planet is. It's a bit of an auto-scroller for a few minutes, so like I said, we can get back into some donation readings as we're going there. It has a very, very cool trick that we're going to explain, though, so after a couple donations, we'll get into explaining that. So, yeah, you can go for it.
Lincolnito donates $20 and says, "Hey Zem, Lincolnito here. Awesome to see you back at GDQ to show again what a Lombax can be capable of. Shoutouts to all the Rack Pack, and if you see Drek, give him a sick burn and send him my regards." Adam Cake donates $250 and says, "Thanks for hosting this great event. Sorry I couldn't be there in person this time, but I still want to wish Zem the best of luck. Sorry Zem, I don't have the $1 million you asked for, but I hope this will do."
I told there was a big Ocean Man craze on my stream one time. He asked how much for me to sing that during the run. I told him $1 million. So. All right, yeah, you can continue with a couple more if you want.
The Ultra Nerd donates $50 and says, "Absolutely head to donate during the Ratchet Clank and Jak 2 runs. Love these games so much and all the stuff these amazing runners do. Donation goes to the level 1 Sephiroth fight for Kingdom Hearts 2.
Good choice.
And Ranunculus Acris donates $20 and says, "I wanted to donate towards Nessun Dorma, but that incentive was already met days ago. I guess it will have to go to Zem's choice now. Good luck and have fun. What is your choice, Zem?"
My choice is the level 1 Lingering Will fight in Kingdom Hearts 2. It's a really, really sick fight. The boss battle is just so cool. So that's my recommendation for people if you want to throw money somewhere.
So to note, you've kind of been seeing him kill all these fish all over the place. It's not doing it just for bolts, although it is a nice benefit. It's actually an escort mission. He needs to get the boat driver all the way across.
The guy.
Right.
Yeah.
You get the
Actually,
guy.
if you guys have FFZ, I think my FFZ is linked to the channel right now. If you want to spam the guy, that'd be more than appreciated. That we don't know what his name is. Like none of the runners. He has a name. We just don't know what it is. So we just call him the guy.
And also, everybody rides boats on top of a windshield, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just look at this guy though. Like, just look at him.
He's the guy.
He's got the dad Hawaiian shirt. He's got the bling. He's got the comb over. The open-toed shoes. Like
It's like a super chill, incredible
Yeah,
Hulk.
like oh my god. What left is there to say about this stunning creature? So
Got a good smile.
so coming up at the end of this is a really cool looking trick if I can pull it off. It's called Dive Bomb, and it was discovered by a runner named Maxis, and it was popularized by a runner named Sippy. And so the way it works is that there was a gold bolt earlier in the run, or early in the level, but I just skipped it. We normally get it by doing some more slope intercepts up a waterfall, but there's a much cooler and a little bit faster strat. It's just a lot more dangerous. So
He doesn't care that it's faster. He just likes looking
it's
cool.
just so cool looking. Okay, so I'm gonna group all these fish together. I gotta kind of be careful. I only have 4 health, and the checkpoint's way back at the beginning of the level. So if I die here, it's just I look like an idiot.
And by grouping all those guys together, it allowed him to conserve his bomb ammo a little bit.
Yeah, he actually does kind of pay attention to his ammo the entire run because ammo costs money, and sometimes you get ammo refills for free, so you want to maximize that. But we're almost done with this escort mission here, and we're going to be picking up another upgrade for Clank right after this. In fact, he's going to try to clip through a door to just save a couple seconds. Here, we'll see.
I believe.
Nope,
No.
that's okay.
Still believe.
Oh, I got I got through. Okay, so I got through the door, which is great. But then when the guy gets to the button, he activates
warps
the
you
cutscene
back.
and it warps me back here. So it didn't even matter. So
But yeah, so he got the thruster pack upgrade for Clank, which we'll talk about later because there's a ship going on.
Yeah, there's 4 of these like kind of snake-like ships that he's gonna have to take out each of the different pieces of it. There are also these chests that could have missiles in it, which are denoted on the left side of the screen by those green little markers. He wants to make sure he doesn't kill all 4 of them, all of the snake parts, because he wants to leave a little bit alive, because then we're going to hopefully be able to get this swag gold bolt.
Yeah, and he already left the one alive, so we should be good there. So we'll be coming up pretty soon. He's going to do a wide sweeping motion here, and then
This
he's
is
gonna,
way more precise than you would think.
Yeah, he's going to dive bomb right at this gold bolt cutscene, and hopefully, yeah!
And we still get the entire cutscene of it. It's great.
Yeah. And the
Nice.
the ship just disappears as soon as as soon as you finish out the mission. So
yeah, if I wanted to, I could just ride along in that weird state where Ratchet's just on top of the ship for as long as I wanted. And we just stay up there. It's really funny looking.
Yeah.
So now we have to go back to Orxon because we just got the O2 mask from the guy. And
so we got the thruster pack upgrade and the O2 mask there.
yeah.
What's great about the routing in this category is that even though there's 18 planets, there's all these gold bolts we have to acquire, there's only, I think we decided 3 total revisits in the entire run. So a lot of it is consolidated pretty well in single trips.
Now, what he did there is something you can do with the thruster pack called a, well, it's actually called a ground pound cancel, but it looks like a mid-air long jump because that's effectively what it is. He'll get all of the height that he can, start initiating a ground pound attack, and then cancel it in order to do a long jump in the air.
Yeah,
So
ground
you'll
pound
see him do this a
cancels, they're a very bread and butter technique in this run. And it's one of those things that, it's so weird because it's almost intentional by the developers. It's because you're able to cancel ground pounds into long jumps, but I don't know if that was an intended feature or not. That's just a thing we can end up doing.
Right now he's escorting an infobot around. You just need to kind of get some enemies away. As you can see, the infobot's racing ahead of him. Why is he faster than you?
Man, I'm trying my best here. Can you just give me some credit?
So that probably looked a little weird. Basically, just he has some magnet boots, but if you hover in that specific spot, you can just be a little bit faster than walking on walls.
This is a very precarious looking trick because if I screw up the angle on this, I just die. So I'm going to go over here.
He's going to go try to do a ground pound here in a very specific spot
Nice. Okay.
to hit a cutscene.
basically, you probably have noticed earlier in the run that those gold bolts have basically like gigantic hitboxes. So by him jumping up and then doing a ground pound, he extended his height up enough to where he hit the bottom part of the hitbox of that gold bolt, warping him upwards and putting him in a consistent spot to where obviously he's not going to fall and die in that gooey substance below.
Please don't kill me. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
The texture's finally loaded. Okay.
So yeah, every time you're seeing him do that long jump while in the air, that's because he's canceling a ground pound attack.
Very nice.
Yeah, so that's the end of Orxon 2. Now we're going to go to Hoven, where there's a new YOLO strat that was just concocted. I believe it was by a runner named Sneepy, where we're going to infinite long jump. The way it works is that the goal of the planet is there's a turret at the top of the planet that you're supposed to get up to by whatever means the game wants you to. You get inside the turret, and then you have to start this ship fight. But if you are underneath the turret, the game doesn't check your Y coordinate, so it assumes that if you're in the correct position along the X and Z axis, that you must have clearly gotten up to the turret, so the game just up-warps you into the turret. So I'm going to try to do it like the super YOLO way at first, and then I'll do the baby YOLO strats.
Kind of similar to hitting those gold bolt cutscenes instead of like grabbing the bolt itself.
So let's see.
Don't blink.
The cutscene trigger. Yeah, good job. So that looked weird. It should.
Okay, so right here, he's got these 5 different, basically like turret sections of this gigantic ship he's trying to take out. Definitely something at a high level when you're playing this game. You want to learn to kind of be shooting multiple sections of them at a time. So like he took out the first 2 there. Now he's going to be shooting in a specific spot to damage all 3 of these other ones at the same time with each shot. He does have his health denoted in the bottom left corner. Yesterday when we did this, he got it like at the last possible second. Hopefully it's not as
It looks
close
pretty
here.
good this time.
This is going to be good.
It's all right.
I hope.
It does it.
I hope.
Does it?
I hope. Are you kidding me? No! Oh my God. That was such garbage.
They just
okay.
piled up on him at the very end.
That's so dumb.
Do it again.
Do it again.
Well, okay. Well,
Do
not
it
when you
again.
say it. It made me nervous, guys. That's oh man. I'm
shouldn't have pointed out
I'm
the health
so
bar.
mad right now.
So now he can show you the backup he would have used, which is just doing a lot of side flips in the air.
Okay.
Now
So
we
let's
get
do
to
it
do this
again. Yeah.
Your health bar just like melted at the end.
All right, so he has like 5 turret sections that he's trying to shoot right now.
Right, so you got
Yeah,
these
wait,
5
wait,
turret
wait.
sections. at a
So
high level.
while I'm doing this, I wanted to have a little bit of Tones on the mic here. Tones, can you give me a quick rant about amiibos?
Oh, okay. Oh, don't even get me started, dude. Okay. Oh my God. Okay, so freaking Breath of the Wild comes out in March, right?
Right.
Comes out in March, right? I was hyped as I was so hyped.
Yeah,
right?
that word,
I was
yeah,
hyped.
sure.
Right. Yes. And okay.
You know what?
So any percent people run any percent like all right. Your
It's over. You're done.
All right, good job, Tones.
I'm glad you didn't just like death cycle there and be like, keep going, man.
Just keep going. For like,
This is where you sell me on it.
I keep dying for minutes at a time on this. It's just like, Tones, keep going, please, for the love of God. So now that we're done with that, we're done with the planet. We just need to grab a couple more gold bolts. And so there's one of them right there. There's another one where you're supposed to use, I believe it's called the Hydro Displacer. I forget the names of all the gadgets in this run because I don't play this game casually. And so you're supposed to, it's a gadget that allows you to raise and lower water levels. And you have to use it to raise a bunch of the water levels in a row. But since we have ground pound cancels, we don't need to use that. We can just ground pound cancel up here, ledge grab, go over here. And we're going to ground pound cancel again off the top of this thing, and then just get up to the bolt.
There we go. So again, the kind of intended way of doing that is to raise the water up so you can just swim.
Sure.
So then we go out of bounds,
That easy.
Casual.
and we haven't activated any checkpoints along the way, so we just spawn back at the ship.
Yep, fantastic.
So anyway, they start running any percent, right? And they don't think
Right.
Epona is that bad.
No, yeah, I'm following
Jones,
you.
please.
I'm on
Please.
the
Please.
journey with you. Yeah, we can talk about it afterwards if you want.
Yeah, let's do it over lunch.
Do it over lunch.
So Gemlick is It's a pretty interesting one because for the most part we've been avoiding checkpoints, but this is going to be a planet where we're going to intentionally activate one of the checkpoints because we're going to death abuse later, and we're going to trick the game into putting us further along the map. So first we're going to get up here, we're going to go out of bounds by ground pound canceling, and just mashing X, and then it'll eventually double jump me over there. So now we're out of bounds. I'm going to go over to here with just some side flips. I'm going to ground pound cancel once again up there, and then I'm going to touch this spot right here and then leave. That's going to warp me down to the section below. So I'm going to grab the gold bolt over here. We're still out of bounds. This whole section is done out of bounds. We're going to clip through here, go around. That's good that I took damage there, actually, because I needed death abuse anyway. Long jump here, long jump here, and here's the bolt.
That was good. Those out of bounds, as easy as we said it, is sometimes to get out of bounds. The camera likes to fight you unbelievably hard every time you get out of bounds. So, quick little death abuse, and he'll go back to where that checkpoint was.
Yeah, and there is so much out of bounds in this run that Zem just has to be pretty good at understanding where he needs to go, even when the camera's wigging out on him.
Yeah. So this is supposed to be the climactic boss fight of the entire game, where it's not the final boss, but it's Quark. And earlier in the game, like, there's a whole arc surrounding Captain Quark and like his story arc. But we're just gonna skip the boss fight, and we're gonna ground pound cancel over here. And because we're over at this section, the game assumes that we must have completed the boss fight if we're over here. So we death abuse, and then we just get the coordinates for the next planet and skip the boss fight entirely.
All right. Yeah.
Yo, you beat Quark.
You beat him.
Yeah, normally you want to extend like a bridge, which only happens after beating the boss, but just that extra little bit of height before doing that long jump lets him get right over there.
This planet is a little tedious to start, so I might have you read some more donations while I'm doing this one little section over here. But we're going to give you guys a rundown of what's going to happen. I'm going to grab an item called the PDA. And the PDA, what its intended use is that you open it up whenever you want, and you can buy ammo for your weapons like at an upcharge. And it takes the place of needing to go to vendors to buy ammo, because again, like Hobbs said before, ammo management is very, very important for this run. We don't use the PDA for ammo management. We use it instead to do infinite jumps. So you'll see some of those when I actually get the PDA. But for now, we have this. I don't know. This section is. I get why they thought it was a tricky section, but in comparison to some of their later level designs, it definitely pales in comparison. So it's just I'm just gonna be walking along this magnet boot section for a little bit. So you've got time to read some donations if you want.
We have a $300 donation from Monte Cristo, who says, looking forward to hearing a little Nessun Dorma from Zem after this run. Thanks to GDQ for another wonderful charity event.
Hell yeah.
Anonymous donates $50 and says, hey Zem, had to donate during the Rack Daddies run. Can't wait to hear my favorite aria being blessed with your golden tones.
That's him.
That's me.
All right, we have time for one or two more if you want.
Okay. Anonymous donates $50 and says, had to donate for my favorite runner. Let's hear that beautiful voice, Zem.
God, you guys are setting such a high expectation. What if I screw up? What if I just? What if I start singing and just like puke?
I think the stage techs will be a little unhappy. For starters.
All right. So coming up here are 2 gold bolts. The first one, as you can probably see on the right side of the screen right there, we're gonna go over here, and this one's kind of funny because not this one, the next one. This is the only instance of the entire game where the 2 bolts are within 50 feet of each other. And so it's kind of like a bait and switch. You get the one, you're like, all right, cool, I got the collectible. And then, you don't realize that all you have to do is ledge grab over here and then just keep going.
Yeah.
You just, and then,
look
at
that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, look at that.
That's one of the few that we actually got the intended way.
Yeah, the reason, if anyone's wondering why Clank isn't with us, it's because, I guess, in the story, like, there's lightning on this planet, he a robot, he don't want to be here, so...
He a good boy, we got to protect him at all costs. So we keep him out of the lightning storm. So here we're buying the PDA, and I'm good on bolts, so I don't need to collect those crates. Normally those are some backup crates right there. So We're going to pull out the swing shot, and we're going to use the PDA up top here. I'm going to grab a weapon called the Sheepinator, and it's completely pointless. There's no time I'll ever use it in the run, but we have to grab it, because if we don't grab it, it won't activate the cutscene at the end of this level that allows me to get one of the gold bolts, which is really strange. I don't know why they did that, but that's fine. This is normally a grind boot section, so we need to get a creative way around this. We're going to go over here.
He lets that ship kind of get a lot further away and then carries the momentum from that swing shot use. And now these are infinite jumps. Opens up the PDA and just does an input that involves first-person mode as well as swinging the wrench, and just, for some reason, lets you jump again.
And coming up here is a trick that was actually found a couple of weeks ago by a runner named Yen called PDA side flips. And it's the same concept, except we're not going to wrench swing. It's just going to be side flip after side flip here.
So you can see the camera kind of zoom in because he has to do a first-person mode input. And nice save.
Wow. Thank you. This can be a little tricky. It's the reason that it's tricky for me personally, since we haven't had a lot of time to work with this trick, it kind of goes against a lot of the muscle memory for actual infinite jumps. There we go. And now we're just going to go through this wall. And we got the cutscene.
So what is the next bolt count you're looking for at this point?
Normally,
1,700?
No, actually, I'm looking really good on bolts right now. Normally, you want to have around 1,400. So the fact that I have 1,800 is very, very good. We're good. The next big bolt count is 7,500.
Yeah.
So I'm going to need to collect as many bolts as I possibly can. So here, this is supposed to be a swing shot puzzle, but the end of the puzzle is right here at the beginning. So we're just going to do this, and we get the goal.
All right.
Like I said, with the original Rat games, Insomniac really liked to develop things in big circles so that way you ended up where you started. It's a really cool level design when you're playing casually, and it's fantastic for speedrunning.
Right.
Yeah. So here is going to be the final part of Voltanis, where, again, it's going to be a section that's normally done with the grind boots, but because we don't have them, we have to do more infinite jumps. So I'm going to get around all these guys who are trying to kill me. And the bolt count that we're looking at, I want to have a roughly 2,100. I'm going to have way more than that, though. Like, even just from here, I'm going to get about...
Jeez.
Yeah. And I'm going to collect some more bolts anyway, just to be safe. And I'm dead.
Oh.
So what happened there is I hit... When you're doing infinite jumps, Ratchet does a wrench swing, right? The way that you do that, you close the PDA with triangle, and then you hit square to do the wrench swing. If you hit square and triangle too close together, the game kind of freaks out and sends you into first-person mode. And so you just fall to your death instead of doing an infinite jump.
Kind of just eats your wrench swing.
Exactly. Yeah. It sounds like kind of risky, but really this is a very simple concept. In theory, I just really botched that. So hopefully let's not screw that up this time.
All right, there we go.
First try.
And the other thing is that your double jump really doesn't give you very much height at all. And since we don't have Clank, we don't have access to that high jump. So that's really where infinite jumps can sometimes mess up one, you can't recover.
Yeah. Yeah. The double jump height in this game is very paltry in comparison to the double jump height in other games. And so I actually wasn't paying attention to anything you said, so if I repeat anything, I'm so sorry. The double jump height, you actually, for every infinite jump, you lose height. So you need to have the appropriate distance. So we're done with Voltanis. We're going on to Quartu, which is one of my personal favorite planets because it kind of culminates every single trick that we've already done. It has Ghost Ratchet. It has infinite long jumps. It has a new tech, PDA glides. And it just like a lot of the other planets, the end of the planet is at the very beginning. So the first thing we're going to do, there's this slide that you see off in the distance there.
Yeah, off to the right there.
We're going to go up this slide, and it's going to take us to the end of the level. So we're going to go up here, pull out the swing shot.
And we got the same concept as we talked about before. See, that goes to show you right there. He's just a little bit right and actually kind of on that slide. It'll bring him back down.
There we go.
Doing that long jump is really precise. And it just saves a little bit of time. But yeah, now he's just
All right,
riding on that corner.
made it up the slide. So we talked before about how some walls are just not there. This whole room is solid, except if I go up here and I can just long jump out.
Yep. Anywhere they thought that you weren't going to get to, they wanted to save, memory or whatever it was, and just got rid of all the collision.
So here I activated Ghost Ratchet from below. I'm going to get this guy out of here because he's going to try to kill me. The two robots that are in these rooms right here, they can mess me up really badly if I'm not careful. So I'm just going to have to be careful.
Ghost Ratchet is where the game thinks he's dead, and for some reason allows him to walk through walls.
Yeah, he can still, as you can see, interact, get hit, and hit other enemies and such, but just walls don't have collision. But again, you do notice that he has to sort of jump over each wall in a way. The ground will still have collision for whatever reason.
Cool trick right here. Well, let me just avoid this guy's laser. Okay,
Ooh.
or I can just die. That's fine too.
Body.
Or I can just die. Get away from me! Okay, cool. Oh crap.
Oh no.
Dad, please. Okay. Okay, that's fine.
Well,
that's whatever.
Well,
I try to be like, yo guys, here's the cool moment, and then it ended up just biting me in the butt. So that's fine. All right, so we're gonna go back out. We're gonna do all this over. We're just gonna get Ghost Ratchet, and since I did what I needed to do. The reason I went back is so that I could activate the end of the planet. You need to get the coordinates for the next one, and it's just right there. So we're gonna just grab it while we're there. All right, so these guys should be gone now. Let me pull this out. Okay.
That's speed. As soon as the camera catches up with
He's
you,
still going,
it's just
dude.
insane. And
So-
you're slowing down the entire time you're hovering, so that's how fast he was going.
So that's a big thing about Ghost Ratchet is that normally there's a speed cap on Ratchet. You can only move, the fastest you can move, if you want to put it into numbers, is 0.43 units per frame, which doesn't really mean anything, but the reason I say that is because a Ghost Ratchet completely removes that, so I can just go at insane speeds with Ghost Ratchet. So here we actually have Ghost Clank. This is a giant Clank fight, and if I wanted to, I could walk through these walls. The reason I'm going around the arena anyway is to pick up bolts. As you can see here, keep an eye on my bolt count in the top right corner. It's going to start skyrocketing really soon.
There's also a tricky thing with Ghost Ratchet and Ghost Clank where sometimes little bits of terrain on the ground will count as a wall, and you'll just fall right through them and just fall through the floor.
I wasn't going to take that extra jump because I knew I was going to fall through the floor.
Exactly. It's happened to Zen before on a really decent run.
Yeah, I was on world record pace one time, then I fell through the floor and
Fell
lost
right
the
through
run.
the floor. You can't even be mad. It's just too funny.
Yeah.
So with that, we're just going to be taking out these enemies, kind of just a little bit of a boss fight of sorts here. So we can probably get in a donation or two while we're waiting.
All right, we have a $25 donation from Wyvern. It says, hey Zem, Wyvern here. Had to donate while my favorite streamer ran my favorite game. Awesome run so far. Keep it up, my man. Donation goes to Zem's Choice, which again is level 1 terror / lingering will in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Thanks, Wyvern. All right, you can do one more if you want. We're just finishing up here.
Wink donates $50 and says $5 for every bonk so far, plus an extra $10 for the first try Cineflips and $10 for the first try tree. Second donation at the end of the run. Thanks, Wink.
Thank you kindly, sir.
You got first try tree in
Yeah,
this run.
I was
I
going to say the
trained
same thing. You remember when you did that? That was cool.
That's wild. The rest of this run can go completely down the toilet, and I don't even care anymore. All right, so we're coming up. Actually, speaking of going down the toilet, we're going to be going to Drex Fleet now, which has in my opinion, the hardest skip in the game. Some people would argue Cineflips are harder, the crazy infinite long jump that I did at the water planet. But I say this is the hardest because it's so insanely precise. I have to do 3 things in a row that are, if I'm even the tiniest bit off, the trick just will not work. So that comes at the end of this planet. For now, we're just going to be going through this whole fleet. I'm going to be collecting a whole bunch of bolts. This is, yeah, there's just going to be a big section of ship after ship after ship that I have to go through. The only tricky part about this particular section is if I really screw up somewhere and die, there's very few checkpoints throughout this planet. So it'll just take me back to the very beginning, and I'll lose a bunch of time. But that's not really a big deal. I don't really think I'm going to die. And now that I've said that, I'm going to die about 6 times.
Right.
So for bolts, I normally want to have about 6,100 by the time I'm done with that particular part. I'm well over bolted, but I'm going to keep going anyway, just because I mean a lot
Still
can
a
go
couple
wrong.
more purchases.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
there's the 7,500 he's looking to buy, which you can almost afford, and then one final 2,500 that he needs to spend after that.
yeah, so the 7,500 one is going to be at the end of this section right here. It's going to be the decoy clip, or the decoy glove, sorry. We use it for decoy clips, and the intended use of the decoy glove is you throw out like this blow-up doll of Ratchet, and the enemies attack the doll instead of you. But what we use it for in the context of the run, we use it for wall clipping. And on PS2, and all PS2 versions of the OG trilogy, clips are significantly easier. But because we have to just accommodate, like we have to run this on PS3, the loads are just too long on PS2 to even be competitive. We have to just deal with the really precise clips. So I almost have 7,500. We're gonna do a cheeky little clip right here, where I'm gonna stand on these crates, do a ground pound down to here, get myself in the right spot, clip through the wall, and I died because I'm an idiot. It's okay, there's a checkpoint, so that's
You
fine.
said there is no checkpoint.
There's a checkpoint here, okay? What do you want from me?
Okay, jeez.
Tones, I love you, I'm sorry.
All right, so there we go. Didn't die that
There it
time.
is. Heck yeah.
Okay, yeah, and the...
Yeah.
All right, yeah, you know what, I'll take,
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah, it was good.
I'll take what I can get this run. So the reason that I died there, it wasn't because of like, even though it ate my wrench input, I could have salvaged it, but because I went underneath the ship, the floor of the ship exists. And so it wouldn't have let me back inside the ship. I would have just been floating around for a while. So now we have, I want to get about 8,000 bolts here. Okay, great. That's perfect. I'll take a hit there, that's fine. We kind of want to have more than 1 health here, because clipping functions differently on 1 health than it does on 2, 3, or 4 health. So now that we're done, we have the coordinates for the last planet. We're going to go back here, and we are going to buy the decoy glove.
Yeah, and pretty much immediately you're going to see how decoy clipping works.
Yeah, so this is going to be a thing. The first clip is easy, so this will be to showcase what exactly I mean by decoy clips.
Yeah.
The second one is the one I need blessings on.
Well, what makes this easy is that he's in the corner, which just naturally will make it easier, pushing him out of bounds.
Yeah, so the reason this one is harder, like Spike was saying, corners are the easiest to clip in, walls are the second easiest, but then circular walls are the hardest. So
They're just awful.
and look what we have here. We have a circular wall. So I'm going to set up using very precise visual cues. I'm going to try to set this up. And this is the run ender of the category.
Yeah.
I've seen people lose, like, again, just like Orcs on 1, like, at least with Orcs on 1, it's like a little bit the game's fault, like, because of how stupid precise the trick is. Like, if you're just jumping over and over, like, the game just won't let you through. But, oh my god.
Oh, no way, dude.
Oh, gosh. No way you just did that.
Oh my gosh!
No way you just did that. Are you kidding me?
So,
Literally like 5-10 minutes at a time yesterday he was showing us that trick.
he has 18 ammo for the decoy clip. He got down to 2 the other day.
Oh
and he got down
my
to like
God.
11 or
Yeah.
10 in the practice room right before this.
Why couldn't I get this on a good run? Yeah, we have a saying, there's no such thing as a good run until you get past Drex Fleet. It's one of those tricks that even like somebody as good as the second place runner, I saw him on a PB pace by 5 minutes. He lost all of his time to that clip, and then he just like quit the run. He was like, I never want to play this again.
Yeah, it was kind of important to know. Well, I'll actually just go for it.
Yeah, so this one, this is going to be, this whole planet, this is Novalis Revisited. The reason we have to come back here is because we need the decoy glove to do these clips. And so these clips are significantly easier than Drex Fleet, but they're still a little tricky. I need to just make sure I have precise angles for these. This one's pretty lenient, and of course I screw it up because I said it was lenient. So let me just, please get me out of this
Got
madness.
the other one.
Yeah, I was going to say,
first
I
try.
don't even care, dude. You could be here for like 5 minutes on this one.
Okay, cool.
There you go.
So this one coming up is the hard one of the planet, but because of the Clip Master Prince Vortex came up with a consistent setup, I'm going to be using his setup here. So let's see if I can actually get this without too much
Shoutouts to
trouble.
Tyler.
Yeah, shoutouts to Tyler. He was my All Gold Bolts coach in the months prepping for this. And like he was great at knowing what I was doing wrong, but he was so bad at explaining what I was doing wrong. Like he'd just be like, "Yo, Zem, your lines suck here," and I was just like, "Okay, well, what do I do better?" He's like, "Just go faster. Like you need to just like."
Man.
So
Good
I
constructive criticism.
But yeah, so I got that's the last gold bolt of this planet. There is a clip that I could do here, but since I want to gather a couple more bolts, I'm going to go over here and let these slimy things kill me. So I'm going to hit them. They drop some bolts when you break the first big guy. So now I'm at 13. That's great. That's exactly where I want to be bolt-wise.
The last number he's looking for is 2,500, and then we're done with bolts.
Yeah. So now we're going on to the second to the last planet, which is Kalibo 3, which it's basically just infinite jumps to the planet where I just have I'm just going to be infinite jumping to one spot, then infinite jumping to another spot. If I die at any point, it's a huge time loss because I'm not getting any checkpoints along the way. So it's just going to be a matter of me not screwing up the inputs like I did a couple of times in the run already. So all I got to do is just play better, man.
Yeah.
Like, I got to channel my inner vortex. Zem, how about you just like don't play like garbage?
There you go.
So we're doing ground pound cancels, which again we're doing the ground pound input of double jump R1, and then we can cancel the ground pound into a long jump by pressing X again. So that's what I'm doing here. As you can see, Ratchet goes like ba-doom, like that. That's a ground pound cancel. So coming up is my favorite room of the game. We have a very particular name for this room, which I probably am not supposed to say over the air. But, but you know, there's bound to be people watching from my chat, so if you just want to go ahead and spam that, you're more than welcome to. Channel your inner Twitch chat. So
It's just a room full of giant chickens,
it's just a bunch of giant, big old,
Giant roosters.
juicy chickens.
Yeah.
You know.
So if you could think of another word for chicken, that might be what we wanted to say. Anyways.
So yeah. Here we go. Just going to be ground pound canceling some more. If I have to watch my angle here because if I go over those rails up there, they can eat my infinite jump. So I'm going to be going just barely below them. I need a lot of height here, so I need to keep doing ground pound cancels. Ground pound cancels give you height, whereas double jump, long jump like that gives me distance. So I'm underneath those rails. Now I can go up. You can see the gold bolt in the distance. I need a little tiny bit more height.
Again, you've seen him drop an input on these before. It's pretty easy to do.
Yeah,
And
this
he has
is a
to
very
chain,
long one he has to do.
Yeah, this many in a row. Just needs to hit that cutscene trigger.
All right, we're good.
Nice.
That was a lot.
They normally expect you to get that on grind boots, which is why there wasn't this long cutscene like there has been for a lot of the gold bolts.
Yeah. So this is Velden 2. This is the final planet of the game. I need 2,500 bolts at the very beginning here. I have, what do I have, like 1,400? Something like that? Yeah, close to it. Yeah! So I'm going to grab...
I was on bolt counting duty. Let that one go.
So I'm going to grab about... 1950 is good there. So I'm going to go over here now, grab that huge set of crates over there. And this should put me above 2,500, just barely.
Yes.
Okay. So now starts the fun. This is Velden 2 SI. It is, it's chokeable. That's all I have to say about it. It's like
This is insanely difficult.
I've had several runs that I've lost to this just off pure stupidity, but
It's,
here
I
we
think
go.
you said 5 precise slope intercept
Yeah.
jumps at a time. Again, quarter of a second, and you need to know on invisible walls where this timing is going to be.
Got it.
And we're in there.
Nice.
So now we need to grab 2 more gold bolts along the way here. And we need Ghost Ratchet. So we've been trying to think, fun fact about the other categories in this game, every other category, so any percent and New Game Plus, they skip the swing shot entirely. That's a new thing that's happened, especially for any percent.
Which, again, is that tool right there.
But we need it in all gold bolts to get Ghost Ratchet, so we're trying to theory craft ways you can go around skipping the swing shot, but we can't think of anything, especially for this planet, because you'll see up ahead that I just need to go through a barrier. Like the button to the barrier is on the other side. So we're trying to figure out ways to get around it, but it's not really looking that great right now. At least a speedy method to do it. So that's bolt number 39. Number 40, which is the last one, is going to be up here ahead. So we're going to be going up here.
We'll probably
And
do a quick bolt check just to be sure.
2551. That's more than enough.
No, I meant the gold bolts
Oh,
at the end.
okay, yeah. Yeah, we will be doing a
Just to
check at the
prove
end.
it.
Just to show you guys. So that's the barrier I'm talking about. The button's on the other side. So we don't. I don't even remember how you're supposed to do this casually. There's probably some like help in knowing that, but yeah, I don't know. So that's that. Now it's time for the final boss fight. We're going to go back over here. We got this checkpoint, which is very useful because it's going to be right by the boss fight. We're going to skip an entire section of the boss fight. And so the reason that I need 2,500 bolts is because it's a PAL PS3 exclusive glitch.
Can you save it?
I can save this. So, hold on, let me just do this real quick.
Yeah, so he's having to do infinite jumps with the high jump here because he just
Nice.
lost his speed. It's good recovery. But yeah, where he's going with that is he's going to buy the Pyrocitor right here, which is basically a flamethrower. And for some reason, when they took the 50 hertz PS2 PAL version of the game and converted it to 60 hertz for the PS3 version, they kind of broke the Pyrocitor. Normally, it's this flamethrower that will hit, every few frames, a couple times a second or whatever. Now it hits every single frame.
Yeah, so you're going to see his
Watch
if I can
that
actually
health.
get to him, his health bar is just going to melt. So we're going to do this. This is
the final boss fight, remember. And you'll see how
Here we go.
quickly phase 1 ends. Bam!
All right.
Done.
There's one phase.
And thank you. Anybody who's ever played this game casually, especially in the any % run, where you don't have all the power, like the crazy OP weapons, can tell you exactly how arduous and tedious this boss fight can be, because his health bar is just gigantic. So the fact that we have a weapon that can damage him on every single frame is so incredibly useful. That glitch was found by, he donated earlier, Lincolnito. He found it just completely accidentally. He had a run that was like on its deathbed, and he just bought the Pyrocitor just because.
Phase 2.
Phase 2. He bought the Pyrocitor just because, and there's a video, because he's in French, he's just like swearing up and down in French, like, oh my god, like how did I, like, he had no idea what happened. And so that was the discovery of the Pyrocitor glitch. And so this is the final section up here. There's a timer that's going to tick down from 30, I believe. And I'm going to try to hit him before it hits 0. There's a button right there. If I screw up, I can hit that button to save myself. I'm going to try to one-cycle him here.
You got this.
I believe.
Yeah, you got this
Give me
one
bomb,
cycle.
please.
We don't need that button at all.
Doom bots, I hate you. He gave me bad RNG, but it's okay. I can still work with this.
So again, he needs to be close range for that flamethrower to work. So.
Yeah, I need to be right up in his face. It doesn't work unless I'm directly against him.
Yeah, if this hits 0, we're done.
We're close.
10.
We're getting there.
We got it.
Come on. Come on.
There we go.
Yeah! Time is coming up very soon.
And time is up in 3, 2, 1, time.
Woo!
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
So,
did we lose Clank
Excellent
here?
job.
Does he die? Does he come back in the sequel? Oh, cool.
no, he never comes back. They just changed it to Ratchet after that.
Oh.
So yeah, 1:07:05. That's a really good time. If that had been anybody else, that would have been second place. I have world record with a 1:02 actually, like a 1:02:35.
Which was an insane.
That's
Yeah.
insane considering how many things you nailed first try that are
Yeah.
impossible, and they're still.
And that's the big thing. My estimate was 120. Back when I submitted this, my PB was a 112. And so since then, I've just been knocking down the time by almost 10 minutes. So that's pretty wild. And just to check at the end here, 40 out of 40. There we go.
Yeah.
Got all
nice.
the gold bolts.
You ain't getting any gold weapons though.
And no skill. No
skill.
No
None.
skill points.
None at
man.
all.
Zero skill.
All right, so I guess I'm doing the donation incentive now. I just need like a second to warm up because I haven't been able to. It's hard to find privacy in a hotel. So I'm going to warm up just a little tiny bit before. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Oh, actually, hold on. Quick shout outs to all the Chillest boys, especially Vortex and Sippy for being my coaches. People who found tricks, Cinna, Nano Hala guys for being a crazy task machine. Yen, Sneepy, all the people I shouted out earlier. To these guys on the couch.
I was waiting for it. I mean, come on. We're right here.
And thanks to all you and all the people watching at home.
Waking up early.
Yeah, for real. Really, really appreciate it. It wouldn't